Happy Thanksgiving edition of Bet On It, powered by Wager Talk. I am Kelly Stewart at Kelly in Vegas. So do rapid fire today. We've got 4 games to go over, plus some TNA and, of course, some Prop Shop. Marco D'Angelo, make sure you guys are giving him a follow at Marco in Vegas on Twitter. Joe Raineri at Joe Raineri. But before we get into the Lions-Packers game, we would like to wish all of you and your families a happy and safe Thanksgiving. What comes to mind when you guys think of Thanksgiving? Turkey, pumpkin pie, and of course, football. And the Wager Talk once a year $69 7-day all-access special. All-access 7-day gets you every play from your favorite handicapper in every single sport, including their best bets for that week of football betting. Not only do you get 7 days for under $10 per day, but you also get the plays as soon as they are released. Now, that's pretty convenient when you're traveling this holiday week. It also only happens once a year. That's right, $69 for 7-day all-access special, so do not miss out. We're going to talk Packers at Lions. Marco, this one's going to be stressful for me, but I'll get to it at the end of the show. Green Bay, currently a 7.5-point dog at Detroit, total 47.
Well, Kelly, you look at this one in last week, you thought we saw the old Lions resurface. They tried to give a game away, come in with a bad effort, but really, if you look at it, that was to be expected last week. They were coming off that barn burner of a shootout against the Chargers the week before. Both teams went up and down the field. Team with the ball last, which happened to be the Lions, were the team that won that one. They took it right down to the final gun, kicked the game-winning field goal, and then they came home to play last week. What a dead spot. You say, wait, how could that be a dead spot? That was a division rival. They played Chicago. Well, do you really think that they took Chicago seriously, even though Justin Fields was coming back? They had this game on deck, national TV. It's their annual Thanksgiving game. But for the first time in a long time, the Lions are relevant, and they were looking forward to this one. It almost cost them, but it won't cost them on Thursday. I like the Lions here. I think they rolled Green Bay got a win last week. The old, they faced the Chargers, lose the same game twice theory. Chargers were on the losing end of a hard luck loss. All right, let's go ahead and take Detroit. I'm going to lay it, and I know you'll like that pick, Kelly. I'm going with Detroit, laying the points on Thanksgiving.
I still can't believe Brandon Staley has a job for Thanksgiving, but moving right along, Joe Raineri, the Lions are a perfect teaser spot, I said last night. With the Eagles, tease them up to 8.5, down to 1.5 with the Lions. We've got one leg in, and maybe I might find another leg on tomorrow's show. But as of right now, that seems like the easiest bet for this game. Your thoughts?
Well, it's been like that for a while here, Cal. It just feels like Thanksgiving has been very, very good to the public. And it's been that way for quite a while here. So you get the overwhelming public favorite on these Thursday games, and guess what? Exactly what you're going to have. You're going to have, 3 huge money line parlays. It's going to be all public all week coming up, and it's actually been pretty profitable. But I'd rather throw up than bet all of these 3 favorites coming up on Thanksgiving. So instead, I am going to look, at least in this game, I'm going to look in the first half. We already know Jared Goff, 19-7-1 against the number in the first half spread over the last 2 years here. Dan Campbell is one of the most profitable coaches in the NFL that we have seen in a long time. Of 115 NFL coaches with at least 50 or more games, Dan Campbell has the best ATS win percentage of all of them. These guys have been printing money, and people have been ignoring them like they don't exist, or they keep waiting for the wheels to fall off. I think Green Bay has got all sorts of issues. We know this. Jordan Love can't be trusted. I don't think LaFleur can be trusted. I think Jared Goff can. I think Dan Campbell can. And I also like both of those guys, both Campbell and Goff, to come out, put their foot down in front of a national audience and get this game out of hand heading into halftime. So I got no problem. I don't care what the number is. If you're looking at 7.5 for the full game, 3.5 doesn't make a damn bit of difference. They're going to go in with at least a touchdown lead into the break, and that's where my money's going.
All right. All the money from the Survivor Pool is going to be on the Lions. Look like 1/3 at least of the pool has Detroit available. A little over 100 has Dallas available. Boy, would I love to see a Dallas outright loser. Washington just knocked out the most consensus pick last week as they lost to the Giants. Maybe they were looking ahead, or maybe they just turned the ball over 6 freaking times, Joe. But now they're an 11-point dog at the Dallas Cowboys. 48.5 is the total. And I told all my partners, I said, listen, we saw that this would be the highest spread, right? Unless something happened to Jordan Love or Jared Goff or Dak Prescott, whoever, right? We kind of knew that. But I said, I've seen this Dallas team so many times on Thanksgiving falter. And last year, the Giants actually had a chance to win this game down the stretch, couldn't get it done. Do you think that Washington has a bounce back spot here? I mean, surely they're not going to turn it over 6 times.
Well, yeah, no, well, you would hope so, right? And you would, it sounded like all the quotes that I was reading and some of the quotes that I saw players after that Giant game, it seems like they were very happy they didn't have to wait very long to play the next game because they got this very bad taste in their mouth with how things ended against the Giants. Didn't work out well there. And you're right, nobody has been more profitable against under 500 teams like Dak Prescott and the Cowboys. But I'm going to take the same approach here that I took with the Detroit-Green Bay game, and I'm going to say Cowboy fans are going to lose some of that stuffing they just ate by the time we get to the half here, because they're going to try to figure out where it went all wrong. Dak Prescott and the Cowboys, in fact, have lost now 6 straight. They have gone into the break in 6 straight Thanksgiving games, trailing and not covering the first half number. I think that trend continues. I think Dallas is going to make a whole lot of folks, a whole lot of backers sweat in the second half. And I think the first half, including, by the way, for some odd reason, Sam Howell, much better on the road than he is at home. He's been 5-1 on the road this year against the number. He just doesn't play well in Washington. I think they bounce back with maximum effort early. Eventually, the Cowboys will win this game, I believe. But I'll take the points in the first half and watch Cowboy fans sweat it out in the third and fourth quarter.
Yeah, currently 7 juice towards the Cowboys on the Wager Talk odds screen. Marco, our good friend Ralph tweeted out, I think it was yesterday, 1-11 against the spread the Cowboys are on Thanksgiving. No wonder I didn't want to save this team. I don't need a stressful Thanksgiving. I already have to be around all my family.
Oh, I hope they're not watching, Kelly. You just threw them.
They watch every show, Marco.
Kelly, this is one of those ones where I'm going to throw a couple of my, Marco-isms out there. No team's as good as their best game, or are they as bad as their worst game? Well, obviously, you've got these 2 teams coming in on opposite sides of the spectrum. Dallas comes in off a big blowout win. You got Washington coming in off of as ugly a loss as you can have. Now, I haven't thrown this one out there for a while, the old ABC theory. And this is when you have Team A beats Team B and Team B beats Team C. So that means when Team A plays Team C, they should roll them. Well, that's what you have here. 2 weeks ago, Dallas rolled the Giants. We all saw that game 49-17. Oh, what happened last week? Washington got rolled by those same Giants. So that means when these 2 hook up, Dallas should just knock the snot out of Washington. Well, I can tell you, if you use the ABC theory of handicapping, it equals BROKE. Bro, that's what you end up handicapping that way. Doesn't work that way. And Washington will turn the tables here in this one. Will they win it outright? I don't know if they can pull it off, but I can tell you this one. Dallas is going to sweat all the way to the end. And let's talk about Coach Ron Rivera. He is probably a dead man walking. The run there in Washington, it's gotten old. I think they're tired. They're going to move on from him at the end of the season. And I think he knows it. So what's he got to lose? Maybe we see Riverboat Ron come back in this one. He can take every chance he wants in the world. He has nothing to lose. And sometimes that can backfire, but that also can be very nice when you've got a double-digit dog that's taking chances to keep drives alive. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take the Washington Redskins. Unlike my counterpart that, he wants to get done at halftime so he can go eat turkey and take a nap. I'll be here for the full game. I'm here for you guys on Thanksgiving. No half a day off like Joe. I'm taking Washington. Full game, plus the points. I'm calling it a 27-24 either way type of game.
I would love that little Washington football, whatever the fucks, as John Murray likes to call them, outright winner. Let's see. Last but not least, well, at least until we get back from TNA and Prop Shop, San Francisco, 6.5-point road favorites at Seattle. Total 43, Marco. Look, Seattle, been really solid at home this year. San Francisco now hitting their stride. That bye week sure came at the right time for this team. Your thoughts on this NFC West matchup?
Yeah, Kelly, for me, this is strictly a value play, and I just think the market is overpriced on the 49ers right now. Yeah, they're looking good. They came out of that bye, as you said. They went into that bye. Remember when they went into the bye, everybody, what's wrong with the 49ers? What's wrong? A panic button. Oh, we knew this was going to happen. Brock Purdy wasn't as, good as everybody said he was, blah, blah, blah. Well, just pump the brakes. They had a ton of injuries. They regrouped, pressed the reset button, and they've been fine. But they beat a Jacksonville team that we really don't know how good they are. I think they're above average, but I don't think they're a great team. And then last week, they just beat an overmatched Tampa Bay team. And, last week, it was a spot where I took Tampa Bay, depending when you got the number on that game. You got to win with Tampa Bay plus the points. We also had the under in that one. Had to sweat the under a little bit, but it got there. I'm looking at this line, and I just think 6.5 is too much for a divisional game. It is a primetime game. I know we'll see if Kelly gets interested in a primetime home dog. But really, is San Francisco that much better this year than they were last year, even when they're healthy? I look back at what the numbers were with these teams last year. And when San Francisco came in here, which it was late in the season, it was the middle of December when they were rolling and everybody was penciling them into Philadelphia and San Francisco in the NFC Championship game and a possible Super Bowl berth. They were only minus 3 points here. Now they're minus 6.5. I don't think there's that big of a difference from them. Seattle, they've been up and down all year. Geno Smith's not been as good as he was last year. I'll give you that. But I still think in this setting, on the Thursday night, short week, home, in the way Pete Carroll coaches teams to hang around, I'm going to take the 6.5 here. I'm going with Seattle. I think this one goes right down to the end. I'm going to call for the mild upset. Going to go with Seattle, 24-23.
Ooh. Now Marco's got my wheels spinning. I did lean towards Seahawks plus the points. As I mentioned, they've been pretty solid there at home. Ooh, one of the best defensive teams. This is tough. Joe Raineri, help me make sense of this one.
Not a problem. Going to keep it real simple. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Guess what this game is on Thanksgiving, guys? Oh, yeah, it's a primetime game. Yeah. Give me the damn under. 25-8 already this year, and I'll go one even further than that, guys. We have Thanksgiving evening games. The under is 11-5 all time, nearly 70%. We also have seen Seattle, last 3 times they've played the 49ers, they've averaged 2 touchdowns a game. This game between these two didn't get over, I believe, 34 points a year ago. Actually, the last 3 times they've played. Now you've got injuries to worry about with Kenneth Walker as well as Geno Smith, which means you might get Drew Lock for a little while in there. The defenses, Cal, I think you're spot on. The defenses are the best units on the field in this game. Short week, I don't love that for Brock Purdy and McCaffrey and company here. I think this is a rock fight, one that will ultimately land under the 43 or 44 points, whatever you can get it at this point. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Primetime under for me.
Yeah, you just have to take the primetime unders at this point. It's just so absurd, but you kind of love to see it. You know what else you love to see? these glasses because that means it's time for some TNA with Ralph Michaels at Cal Sports LV. Stat Daddy, time for some turkey. There he is, the Stat Daddy, coming in on a Tuesday for me just to give me some of that Thanksgiving TNA, which also includes the Egg Bowl. So, Ralph, what have you dug up for us this week in college football?
Well, Kelly, we've got a chart in college football. We got a chart in the NFL. And don't worry, on our regular segment for the Sunday games, I've got another chart for you. So, first off, I want to say I'd like to wish you and your families a very happy and safe Thanksgiving. I'm thankful for the Bet On It family. I'm thankful for the Wager Talk family. I appreciate all the kind feedback. So, one thing we try to do here on this segment is not give you games to bet, but to help you make better decisions betting games. And Kelly, I want to preface this by saying I can't look at the database and say these are rivalry games. But what we know as college football fans is that most legitimate rivalries are playing game 12, the final game of the season. The Ohio State Michigans, the Auburns, the Auburns and the Bamas, Florida State, Georgia State. So I went to look at game 12 situations since 2012 and what teams did the previous season. So if you look on the left in the blue headline, the top is if a team lost as the favorite one year, what happened the next time they played them? If you lost as a home dog, if you won as a home favorite, and if you won as a home dog. So let's take a look at the green on the very top. Teams that lost against a game number 12 opponent as a home favorite, the next season as an away favorite, has gone 66.7%. Why are we talking about this chart today? Well, guess what? That applies to Mississippi, the number one situation in this chart. And does it make sense? Absolutely. You lost as a home favorite one year, the final game of the regular season. The next year, you have revenge. You're the better team. You're the away favorite. And what happens? You've covered 67%. But do take a look on the bottom just to point it out. If you won as a home dog the next year, look at those records. Ugly, 38.1% and 48.4%. So let's jump back to the very top of the chart. Teams that lost as a home favorite and are now an away favorite, those are in a 67% situation. 5 teams apply. First, in the Egg Bowl Thursday, it says to play on Mississippi. Then it also says to play Wisconsin, Notre Dame, Clemson, and North Carolina.
Ralph, I have to ask you a question because I just sent Marco a message and I said, hey, Marco, you didn't put the Egg Bowl in our script. So talk to me about who maybe you like, and then I'll give my quick opinion just because I did want to get a touch on this, I think, important college football game.
I look at Mississippi, and to me, they are a far superior team. I thought this team would be much better than it is. But you look at recent performances. Yes, they beat A&M by 3, and they beat ULM 35-3 last game. They went to Georgia, they got crushed. They went to Alabama, they lost. So do they have a good win where I can say this is a team I want to back? I'll go back all the way to the Tulane game, their first game of the season. Remember, that game was without Michael Pratt and that 17-point win. They did go to Auburn, and they won 28-21, but we know how consistent Auburn has been. The game 12 situation says to take Ole Miss. The eye test says take Ole Miss. But to me, Ole Miss on the road, averaging only 360 yards per game compared to 531 yards per game on the road, clearly has me leaning with the dog. Remember, this in-state rivalries, I basically negate the home edge because these rivalries are so intense. So, a very light opinion will not make my card. The chart says Ole Miss in the situation, but me putting all the factors together, I lean the dog.
I lean the dog as well. Waiting on the Will Rogers news here on a Tuesday. If he is a go, I think I will be taking those points. Not saying that Mississippi State's going to get the outright win, but if they do, they will be playing for a bowl game. Ralph, let's skip over to the NFL. I know you've got a chart for the Thanksgiving games.
Well, Kelly, this is a chart that There are some road records that have been very good Thanksgiving Day that we'll talk about in a second, and they're included in this. But take a look at the top of the chart. These are Thursday road teams with no buys. In September, those teams cover 58%. In October, 53.6%. In November, later in the year, if you're the away dog, you obviously have injuries building up. The travel gets a little tougher. You're not the better team. Away dogs on Thursday with no bye, 37.7%. And in December, 34.4%. So while it's relative this week, keep that thought for all the Thursday games moving forward, how much away dogs struggle on that short week late in the year when attrition starts to occur. Now, the opposite is true for away favorites, polar opposite. If you're getting into November and you're the better team on the road, you're obviously playing for the playoffs. Those teams have covered 60.4%. So the more meaningful stat to me, look to fade non-rested away dogs November and December on Thursday games.
All right. So not even just Thanksgiving, just Thursday through the rest of the month. Ralph, all right, you've got a couple of situations for us, and one of them is a wow number.
Well, first, let's mention this, Kelly. Thanksgiving, exciting for the players, but, your home team has family and friends, and you're going to go home after the game if you're the Dallas Cowboys and the Detroit Lions, and you're going to celebrate Thanksgiving with your family. So is it any surprise? It was a little bit of a surprise. The Dallas Cowboys are actually on a 1-11 ATS run on Thanksgiving. That, to me, makes sense, but completely surprising. They tend to be overrated. They tend to lay a few extra points. Detroit as a favorite. Since 2004, they've only been a Thanksgiving Day favorite 3 times. They've won and covered all those. Detroit has been a Thanksgiving Day home dog 14 times. They are 2-12 ATS. So the favorite in Lions Thanksgiving games, 15-2, 88% the last 17 years. And the 2 things I wanted to talk about as well, the Cowboys, if you beat your last 2 opponents by 14 points or more, we used this a few weeks ago and it cashed, those teams are only 44-66, 40% against the spread. The Cowboys fall in that role. And the last thing I want to mention for Thanksgiving, Riverboat Ron Rivera, going all the way back to his Panthers days, including every game he's coached. He likes to go for it on 4th down. He likes to gamble, and that causes for high-scoring games. But when he is an away dog of 7 points or more, the over-under is 20 overs and 2 unders. That is 90.9% to the over. So anytime Riverboat Ron Rivera is a big dog, look to take the over in his games.
Wow. A couple of those really bode well for my Survivor pick this Thursday. Let's hope that goes according to plan. Thank you, Ralph, for coming in a day early. We will see you again tomorrow. Make sure you guys are following Ralph at Cal Sports LV so you do not miss out on any of those wonderful nerd charts. We're going to kick right into it. No commercial break, because now it's time for Prop Shop. Andy Lang always helping me out with these prop bets. Andy, we got a pair of Thanksgiving winners from you, but you have something to promote over at Wager Talk as well.
Yeah, every year Wager Talk does this promo. It's got to be one of the best ones of the year. 7-day pass, discounted down all the way to $69. It includes all sports, all percentages, and it's a perfect time of year to jump on board. We're on a 13-2 all sports run, 14-6 in NHL, coming off a 4-1 NFL weekend. So we're seeing the board really, really well. And like I said, it's the best special we do all year, in my opinion. So take advantage of that $69 7-day pass. And Kelly, we're heating up here on Bet On It. 19-12 this year, 2-0 last week. So looking forward to cashing 2 Thanksgiving props here.
Me too. And you will be back, as always, with a trio of prop bets for myself, of course. That's me. I get to tail those. And I'm already stealing this first one for my Better Picks lineup. But we won't tell those 21-year-old kids that I have to do a show with every week where I'm actually getting all my great information from.
Let's start with David Montgomery, and I just love this line at 66.5. He's gone over this in every game except the one that he got hurt in, and this Packers rush defense is bad. This was a team that gave up 32 carries for 121 yards to David Montgomery earlier this year. And I'm going to list some teams that David Montgomery has gone over his rushing total. He's gone over against the Bears. They allow the second least amount of yards rushing per game. Went over against the Chargers. They allow the 12th least amount. Kansas City allows the 18th least amount. Seattle 19th. Carolina 24th. What do those teams have in common? They're all better than the Packers. This is a Packers defense that just gets hammered. And on a short week, I think it really hurts the defense. I think this is a huge David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs game. And when it comes down to running out the clock, if the Lions are ahead in the fourth quarter, it's going to be David Montgomery all day long. Give me the over, David Montgomery, to start off Thanksgiving.
Yeah, that would be very good to start off my Thanksgiving. Andy, I got the Lions and Survivor, and I'm going to really need that one to come through for me, even though Sunday is going to be absolute hell. But we'll talk about that on tomorrow's edition of Bet On It. Andy, give me, we'll call it your Thanksgiving best bet here. I like this one as well.
Yeah, George Kittle, man, he has been on fire. This 49ers team, the bye week, Kelly, sometimes bye weeks come at times where teams don't really want it. Like, we won like 4 in a row. It kind of ruins momentum. This bye week came at the perfect time for the 49ers. And Brock Purdy has been on fire. He's thrown for 296 and over 300 in 2 games since the bye week. Thrown for 6 touchdown passes, no interceptions. And this number just strikes me as very low. Kittle in the last 4 games, 5 for 78 against Minnesota, 9 for 149 against Cincinnati, 3 for 16 against Jacksonville, 8 for 89 against Tampa Bay. So he's showing he can get it done with volume. He's showing he can get it done with big, explosive plays. This is a Seattle Seahawks team that gives up 54 yards receiving per game to tight ends, but they have not faced a lot of good tight ends. The best ones they faced were Sam Laporta in week 2, who went over this total, and Mark Andrews, who had 8 catches for 90 yards receiving. I think this is a really big Brock Purdy throwing to his receivers like Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel. But George Kittle, I expect to have a really, really big day. Give me the over 51.5 receiving yards.
Love that one as well. At Bump Sports on Twitter. And you can always catch Andy Lang on the Wager Talk Instagram page. He is a staple over there giving out free prop bets. NBA, NFL, all over the place. Andy, thank you, and we'll see you tomorrow. Let's kick it back to Joe and Marco because we've got a Black Friday game between the Miami Dolphins and the New York Jets. Miami, 11-point road favorites at the New York Jets. Total of 40. Zach Wilson gets benched. Marco D'Angelo. Miami has not favored well on the road this year. Are the Jets worth a little plus 11 sprinkle?
Yeah, Kelly, I'm going to take a page out of Joe's book. It's going to be Friday. I'm going to be eating leftover turkey. I'm going to be tired. Actually, I'll be at the Westgate Friday afternoon, so I won't be able to take a nap. But I would want to just look at this game for the first half, and I've got a reason for that. A couple of weeks ago, you saw when the Raiders fired their coach. The team was ecstatic. They came out and played with a newfound swagger, fire in their eyes, whatever cliche you want to use. And it took them on a win, and it took them on a win the next week. I think the Jets are going to come out here on Friday, and they are going to be sky high because they're happy that the anchor known as Zach Wilson is no longer dragging them down. What do we know about Boyle? Not a lot, and we'll find out on Friday. But I think they're going to come out, they still have one of the best defenses in the NFL. They'll play with the newfound enthusiasm. And if he just doesn't make mistakes, I think they stay in this game in the first half. So I'm going to grab the Jets as a first half, semi-primetime home dog. Do we call an afternoon game on Black Friday a primetime game? Yeah, we do. It's the first of its kind. And they're going to continue to do this tradition in the NFL. They don't have enough money. They got to hone in on the college kids that usually have the spotlight on Fridays after Thanksgiving. But I'm going to go ahead and take the Jets plus the points. And this is simply the same angle as firing a coach, benching a quarterback that nobody wanted to see in there. That's where I'm going. Take the Jets first half. I don't care what happens after halftime. I'll be like Joe.
Taking a nap,
Yeah.
Marco. I love that. I will be watching the college games because I could care less about this game unless, of course, Miami loses outright. Joe, can the Jets beat the Dolphins?
Absolutely not. Oh no, absolutely not. This is not a crystal ball situation. This is more of a listen. I kind of agree with Marco though, from the standpoint of if Zach Wilson was the kind of distraction and issue in that locker room that I think he was, then quite honestly, I think anybody else now getting to start a game might give them a little bit of a boost early on in this game. But ultimately, this game is going to be either covered or not covered based upon the Jets' defense. Once again, where have we seen this before? I don't want anything to do with the side, although the number is getting a little out of control for a home dog here. But the reality is, you saw what the defense of the Dolphins, now healthy, was capable of doing in that game against the Raiders. Now, yes, the Raiders are not going to light anybody up offensively, but for the most part, they have been better than and let me make sure I have the number here correct, because I believe I can't even believe what I read. Was it 30 for 131 on third down? That's what the Jets are this year. It is historically bad. For the very first time. We haven't seen this since the 2009 Chiefs, and they sucked just as bad. So this is all going to be about an under for me in here. I don't see Boyle doing, although he can't do any worse, let's be realistic here. I don't see this being a whole lot of shots in the red zone. We just watched Miami struggle offensively as well, not to mention Tyreek Hill. Left that game, had to come back into that game. There's an issue with the hand from what we understand. And that would be a bit of a problem against this Jets defense. So 41, I think, is where the number is holding strong at. Jets defense is not going to go back-to-back weeks getting blown out. I don't trust either offense, quite honestly, in this spot. So it's an under for me in here.
All right. Well, I hope you guys are both wrong and somehow the Jets shocked the world, even though I don't think there's very many people with Miami left in Survivor. I'll take the Cowboys losing instead. That being said, we're going to transition right into best bets. Don't forget, Wednesday's show is going to be regularly scheduled. We're going to do it tomorrow, but we wanted to get these Thanksgiving games out early. So these are just our favorite bets, if you will, for Turkey Day, because I told Marco he had to give me one. So I'm up first, per usual. Are you guys going to insert the graphic and post?
I'll insert it afterward, Cal. Yeah, so you can just go ahead.
I'm waiting for the sound. I'll put it down. Okay.
Oh, you wait.
All right.
Yeah, no, we'll put it in after. Go ahead.
I have my notes page open instead of myself, and I'm like, they're not playing the graphic. Okay, great. All right. 3, 2, 1. All right. As I mentioned, there's a little bias here in this best bet, but it worked for Seattle, and it worked for the Rams, laying a little over 7.5. At home for my Survivor picks has done well, except for the Commanders last week, and then knocked me down to just 3 entries left. I'm going to cross the board on the Lions, and that's because I don't trust the Dallas Cowboys. Who I do trust is Detroit, and while their defense has been rather frustrating as of late, they have absolutely destroyed Green Bay. They have played lights-out defense, 25 points in the last 2 games. Those unders, by the way, might be still in play here. I think that the Packers, while they have looked better, right? They beat the Chargers and Brandon Staley last week at home. How? I don't recall because I was at a basketball tournament. That being said, I do think Jordan Love is a liability at quarterback and can turn the ball over. I think Detroit's defense will capitalize. I do think David Montgomery, as our good friend Andy Lang said, is going to have a big game because the Packers cannot stop a running back to save their lives. And I also look for a big game from Jared Goff, who should be able to redeem himself here at home. Lay the 7.5 or the 8 with the Lions. And I also like them in teasers. Let me rattle off, just for fun, the teaser bets that I already made with the Lions. Lions and the Eagles, which was last night. Lions and the Bucks. Lions and the Bengals. Lions and the Browns. Lions and the Texans for this week. Marco D'Angelo, can you please remind everybody about our Thanksgiving special at Wager Talk and tell me who you like for Thanksgiving?
I will. And before I say that, Kelly, if the Lions don't get home on all those teasers, you're going to be lying in the fetal position on Thanksgiving night. So I will be there with you as well. And Thanksgiving special, guys, we do it once a year. 7 days, $69. Normally, this is a $99 package. But why is it so good this week? Well, you've got football every day. That's one. What's better than that? You got turkey. That makes it even better. But you also got college basketball, NBA, hockey. Everything is going. 7 days, your favorite capper, $69, all of their plays. Get on board and enjoy the weekend. Now, I do have a best bet for you. This is the best play of the Thanksgiving card, all right? Don't get carried away. The best bets will be coming in our next show. We'll be back on Wednesday, the normal time, with our college and NFL shows, and we will have the official best bets and a little selfish plug. Yeah, I'll be going for 12 in a row on the college football. Got to put that out there. Don't miss the college football bet on it show on Wednesday night. For Thanksgiving Day, I agree with Kelly. It is all about the Detroit Lions. I love taking a team, a good team, that had a scare, because you're going to get their best effort the next game. And whenever you're a team that was -3 in the turnovers, they had 4 turnovers in that game. -3 in the NFL, you're supposed to lose. They won. That's the sign of a good team. I look for Detroit to bounce back. I'll have Detroit on Thursday. I'll have them minus the points, the 7.5, but I'll also, just like Kelly, have a lot of teasers with Detroit on Thursday. And we both could be in the fetal position if the Lions don't get the job done. But we're there. I like the Lions. And it's not your same old Lions. They showed that last week, because that's a game they should have lost and normally would have. They found a way to win it.
Marco, I'm just going to say this in the nicest way possible. If the Lions lose that game, I'm never speaking to Johnny Detroit ever again. Joe Raineri, best bet for Thanksgiving.
Oh, please. So listen, I would just make it a clean sweep, but I do, and I just have the Lions in about every teaser known to mankind here this week. But, you know, Cal, you had mentioned something. Our good friend Ralph Michaels there with a little TNA pointed out how bad the Cowboys have been in this spot, right? 1-11 against the number, I believe, in their past 12 Thanksgiving games dating back to 2011. You know what else they are? It gets even worse. They're 1-12 against the number in the first half in Thanksgiving games since 2010. It ain't broke. Don't fix it. Cowboy fans are going to be sweating at the break here in this one, so I will back Washington in the first half of this game, and then you can all join Marco as he laughs as Washington probably ends up winning this game in the second half.
I like that. And now we have the recap graphic. As Marco alluded to, we have that wonderful Thanksgiving special over at Wager Talk. 7 days, all access, just $69. I wonder who came up with that one. I don't know. But I will see you guys tomorrow for the regular edition of Bet On It. This has been Turkey Day. You guys are welcome. I fought really hard and flew back a day early just for you guys, and maybe my Fox and better jobs, but also you guys.